Saitama is one of the most overpowered characters in all of anime. So what would happen if I made Izuku Midoriya, other known as Deku, the main character of My Hero Academia, just like Saitama? This is What If Deku Was One Punch Man. In the world of My Hero Academia, all that matters is if you have a quirk. All that matters is if you have power. Now, there's a young boy that would have none of that. He would have no quirk. He would have no power. And in the original timeline, he would be blessed. He would be blessed by All Might, the #1 hero, well, to be and to give him and put him on that track to being the #1 hero. But this time, what would happen if Izuku Midoriya wasn't blessed by All Might, but he was actually blessed by the gods? Izuku Midoriya may have been born without a quirk, but what would happen if he began to work hard? Harder than anybody ever has in his life. When he was young, with his mother, and he would eventually arrive at the doctor's office, this doctor would look at his pinky toe and would realize that he has no quirk, that he has no quirk at all. This would make the young child sad, but his mother for some reason would feel optimistic. His mother would look at him and tell the little Izuku Midoriya that there's a chance, just maybe, when he gets older and he starts working hard and he starts training and starts getting ready, maybe he can be a hero. Maybe, just maybe. And of course, Izuku, hearing this from his mother, would be ecstatic. I mean, what child wouldn't be ecstatic if his mother literally is telling him, hey, you can still do this. It might seem like an impossible task, but you can. You could still get it done. You could still be a hero. His mother would tell him this, and throughout the years would continue telling him this, telling him that maybe he won't be just like All Might, exactly how he wants, but he can train hard. He could be a hero as long as he just works and he just trains. Maybe they'll get him in martial arts or something like that, and he'll be able to train and be a hero that he wants to be the hero he truly can be. Of course, Izuku's only at the age of about 8 or maybe even 9 at this point, and Izuku would be all up for just starting to work out, to train, and get ready. Izuku would begin working out, but he starts with something small. He begins to look on the internet, what's the best way for someone as young as him to work out? He sees that he's basically getting told to do sit-ups, do more or less do push-ups, do crunches, do anything you could think of. It's all he really has to do, 100 squats. And he thinks that, okay, well, maybe he'll do this. Maybe he'll do it every single day. And that's exactly what Izuku begins to do. 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups or crunches, and he continues to do this. Eventually, he would feel that he is getting stronger. I mean, at least for a kid his age, and he believes that he should amp it up even more. He begins to actually run, more or less run a long distance every single day, including his normal workout regimen, and it's hard on him. He feels that it's extremely tough. I mean, it just gets tougher and tougher. Izuku doesn't know what to do. He feels like he's just gonna fall short. But no, his mother would tell him, do not give up. Continue and keep on training, keep on working hard, and, well, he'll get there. And she promises that he's only 9 right now, but if he continues working hard and doing what he's doing, by when he's around 13, she'll allow him to get into some sort of martial arts class, in which he's happy to hear this, and he continues to work hard. This would give him the motivation to continue pushing himself as hard as possible. In doing so, though, he wouldn't realize that this blessing from the gods was all connected to this work ethic that he needed to show, this push he needs to give. And this was truly the first and really final step to Izuku Midoriya becoming One Punch Man. Izuku would do 3 to 4 years of this over and over again, the training over and over again. And eventually, he would feel this strength. He would feel this power. Where is this coming from? How is this even happening? He doesn't know. He begins to walk around, but every step he takes, it feels like he's pressing against the grass even harder than he's ever pressed before. On top of that, he begins to walk up to a tree and he goes to just softly punch it. When he softly punches it, it obliterates into pieces. Izuku is completely shocked and he thinks maybe his quirk awakened. Maybe just maybe he has power, he has strength, maybe he has a quirk now. He would walk and go over to his mother after school and he would tell her this, that he's extremely strong now. It's insane. He doesn't know how it happened, but he was able to just more or less obliterate a tree. His mom would obviously find that his power is just overwhelming. I mean, who wouldn't? He's able to obliterate a tree in one punch, just one hit, that's it. And he says that he just tapped the tree as if he was barely flicking it and it just destroyed itself, which is an insane idea. He could be on par with someone like All Might. I mean, I know it might be an over-exaggeration, but I mean, what if it's not? What if it's the truth? What if he could level buildings just like All Might can? But that's an understatement in itself from his own mother. His mother may sound optimistic, but that's underrating how strong he really is and what he currently could be. But controlling this power is something Izuku needs to know and needs to understand. And that's immediately what his mother wants him to do. Understand to use restraint, use control. So while he's at school and, you know, doing his normal stuff, she would begin to put him into after school meditation classes, yoga, simple things like that. Yes, I know it sounds, that sounds kind of weird, but I mean, you gotta calm yourself somehow and make sure that you always keep a level head. And on top of his normal training and the training he normally would do, Izuku would eventually find that he has a bit of an issue. His hair begins to fall out. He begins to freak out, thinking that he has some sort of cancer, but his mother would say that they can go to the doctor, but says that that's not exactly how cancer works. In which Izuku didn't really know how it worked in the first place, but he would then head to the doctors with his mother, and the doctor would say he has no idea why his hair is going out and more or less falling out. He says that it could have been a quirk just appearing out of nowhere, but there's no sign of a quirk. But you never know. They kind of keep the idea that he's super strong from the doctor, you know, just a little bit. They don't want to like tell him everything that he really doesn't need to know. But they do tell him that Izuku has seen a good bit of more strength recently, and he has been training. And he does bring up the fact that it could straight up be from, well, overworking himself, in which that's at least what they believe at the moment. But that's not 100% the reason why his hair would fall out, and not 100% the reason why his hair did fall out. Still though, the doctor says that cancer is definitely not in the books. He doesn't have cancer, he's okay. But at the end of the day, it's good that he got brought here and they checked him out just in case. Of course, after the doctor's appointment, Izuku goes back to what he's normally been doing, and let's just say he's not the most popular kid in school. I mean, he's quirkless, quote unquote. He has no hair now, and that's kind of a warrant for people to bully him, which, hey, never bully people for things they cannot control. I feel like that's what My Hero Academia has taught us. Well, sort of. But I mean, have you seen the community? With that said, I know I got off topic from the story a little bit, but still, Izuku would continue on with just his regular training, getting ready, and just preparing himself to hopefully get into UA. And eventually it would come to that time, or at least a little bit before that time, which is when he was around about 15 years old. Being that he's around 15 years old, it's now time for him to hear the bit of a speech from his teacher. His teacher would, from middle school, would basically talk about how he knows that all of them don't want to, well, do normal jobs, and that they all want to go the hero route. So obviously Izuku wants to go the hero route as well, even with a quirkless person, and he's quirkless, but still, according to all of them, well, he doesn't stand a chance. And well, Bakugo believes that he's the person that is going to make it that way, and he's going to make it to UA, and nobody else is. Not even Izuku. No way he has a chance. He's still quirkless, and he still even tries to bully Izuku, telling him to more or less jump off the roof and do some other stuff that you should never tell a young kid like that. But hey, I mean, Bakugo is Bakugo, and Bakugo is a horrible person. With that said, though, he does just kind of ignore Bakugo a little bit, but eventually he would get his fight with Bakugo, but that won't be for a little while. But still, Izuku would just ignore him, listen to what's going on, and just go about his time for the rest of the middle school day, because that's all that really matters at this point. I mean, there's really nothing else for him to do in terms of that. He ignores him. He goes through the day, his last day of middle school, and finally it's time for him to head home and start getting ready for the UA entrance exam. While heading home, though, he begins to write in his journal. But while he's writing in his journal, he continues to break pencils on accident, but he tries to be controlled, more restraint, because that's what really matters in terms of his power right now. He continues to write in his journal about different quirks, about his power he has, and while he's heading home, he heads under a bridge. When he goes under this said bridge, though, well, let's just say it's not the most safest bridge you could possibly think of. When he goes under the bridge and then, well, goes past the manhole cover, he sees a villain, a sludge villain, just come out of the manhole cover, and it's disgusting. The sludge villain is just goopy, covered in trash, and it's just a disgusting, just inhumane thing. Izuku looks at it in complete shock, but then thinks to himself, he's like All Might. He could truly be like All Might. He's felt his power. He knows how strong he is. He relaxes and then focuses, and with one punch, he obliterates the sludge villain into many tiny little pieces. Izuku looks at his hand and smiles, but then a realization would come over him, as if he understands. He now knows that what type of power he has, and he now understands what he is. With that said, though, Izuku basically just obliterates a villain, obliterates one entirely, which is kind of crazy to think about, because I mean, he's just a kid. Like, how was he able to do such a thing? In which All Might would have the same reaction when he would arrive, asking where the villain went, and Izuku would be filling up bottles for basically to store the villain into, in which All Might is in complete shock. How the hell did he do that? I mean, he's just a kid. How did he completely destroy him? I mean, that's insane. In which, well, Izuku says that he's been training really hard and he's been working really hard. He's quirkless, actually. All Might is basically completely shocked after Izuku says this. I mean, he's literally told that this kid that obliterated a villain in one hit is quirkless. Like, what kind of crazy voodoo witch doctor superpowers world are they even living in? And he understands that his powers are insane, but this kid just said he's quirkless. If that's true, well, I mean, what kind of power did he gain from what type of training did he do? That's the main question. But of course, he doesn't have that answer, at least not right now. And Izuku doesn't really give him much of that answer. He gets an autograph from All Might, and All Might suggests that he goes and tries out for UA as soon as possible, because it will be a breeze for him as long as he keeps his studies up. Izuku nods and says he'll make sure to keep his studies up and also his training up, but he'll make sure that he aces everything. And on top of that, he'll go destroy the UA entrance exam. All Might laughs and nods his head, saying that he expects the kid to do big things. I mean, he might even be stronger than himself if he's able to just one punch a villain like that. I mean, maybe he'll be the next All Might. All Might begins to laugh and leaves, and he begins to think, maybe he should give that kid his quirk. But as All Might is about to jump off, thinking about this, he turns around and the kid is gone. Izuku is gone. He jumped off as well, and he's already back at home practically. He was only walking home normally because he was just writing down stuff in his journal. He wanted to get stuff down and make sure he has stuff drilled in his mind before he would get home. But I mean, he's home now, and he begins to tell his mother about what happened, and this just reassures her that he could definitely be a hero and be a extremely powerful one. I mean, it's obvious, like, Izuku has done insane things so far, so it's just a matter of time before it's finally his chance to go into UA. And that's exactly what happens 10 months later. A ton of studying, a ton of working out, and so on and so forth. And there we are, or there he is, right in front of a giant building, right in front of everything. And frankly, he's excited. He's happy to get on with whatever he's doing and get on with trying his best to do what's in front of him. I mean, he's excited, extremely excited, to more or less just destroy the competition and get into UA without a hitch. He begins to walk forward, and he's stoic, ready to go, and everybody's staring at him. He can't tell if it's because he's bald, or because they know who he is, or they've heard about him, or they heard about the whole sludge villain thing. He actually isn't 100% sure. I mean, either way, it's okay, but he enters the UA more or less testing grounds, and he begins to just get ready while President Mike begins to speak. President Mike begins to tell them exactly what's going to happen. They're going to have a practical, and they're also going to have a written portion of the test or exam. Izuku is excited for both, just to show what he can do and how much he studied to get ready, and the written portion goes on without a hitch. He passes it, and at least to his knowledge, he thinks he passes it, and he just absolutely aces everything in front of him. But what really counts is when he arrives for the practical exam. The practical exam is more or less just a bunch of robots. These bunch of robots pertain to different points. You have 1-pointers, you have 2-pointers, you have 3-pointers, and then you have a 0-pointer. Izuku is just excited. He wants to rack up as many points as possible and prove that he's the strongest here. Prove to Bakugo that they're not even in the same league. So that's exactly what he's going to do. Unfortunately, he's not in the same group as Bakugo, so he can't, visually show him, but still he'll be able to prove that once this gate swings open. The gate would eventually swing open, and in a blink of an eye, Izuku would be gone. He would be running at insane speeds, and everybody would say that, the countdown didn't even finish, but President Mike says that there is no countdowns in a real battle. But just as they're beginning to run out, they see a ton of explosions in the distance and robots being tossed in the air, or pieces of robots at least, being tossed straight up into the air. One after another, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, one shot, or, well, one punch, destroying and obliterating robot after robot. All the robots begin to get just destroyed. It's as if everybody is watching a little speck of nothing just blitz around, destroying everything. They can't even comprehend what's even happening. It's as if their eyes can't keep up with the speed of Izuku Midoriya. He's just obliterating so many robots, and eventually he would just end up on a roof. He'd be sitting there looking over as all the robots are just obliterated in rubble. And of course there's a couple more, here and there at least, but overall it's like everything is practically destroyed. The other people, in terms of points, it's pretty limited. I mean, they sort of are able to get enough robot points and stuff like that, but UA kind of has to determine it based off of a couple other metrics and so on and so forth. And they do keep an eye on this Izuku Midoriya kid. It says here that he's quirkless. I mean, maybe they're gonna have to run more tests on him. Like, what kind of power does he have? But while these questions are being thrown around, All Might is currently watching, and even brings up the fact that he met this kid. This kid is the real deal. He is truly something to behold, and he's truly something special, in which this would surprise everybody. You know this kid? How do you know him? In which he brings up the whole incident and what happened, and everybody is just baffled. Everybody is shocked. How the heck did this kid defeat a villain in one punch? And All Might says that it didn't even look like he it didn't even look like he tried very hard. It looked like it was easy for him. Something like what All Might in his prime would normally do in the far, far past. I mean, just too easy. Just like that. And All Might is not even, it's even hard for All Might to believe what he's even saying. But it's true. The kid is something special, in which they think this is great. I mean, they're going to have to get on the phone and message this kid ASAP. I mean, they need to know more. They need to know more ASAP. So eventually when he gets home, a couple days would pass and he would get a phone call pretty early on from UA, but more specifically Nezu. Nezu would speak with him, ask him a couple questions about his quirk, but Izuku says that he's quirkless. All he's done is trained. That's all he's really done. And Nezu asks him, what kind of training did he exactly do? And of course, Izuku would explain to him, but when Nezu would hear the training that Izuku says, he would sit there in complete disbelief. This kid's saying he did push-ups, sit-ups, and squats, and ran a lot, and now he's this strong. Yeah, that definitely makes even Nezu's brain hurt. And this is arguably the strongest or the smartest being on the planet. And he's even kind of dumbfounded by this. How does that even make sense? Like, at all. It doesn't make sense at all. Nezu doesn't even know what to really say. I mean, what is he supposed to say? I mean, the kid just said that he did basic training and now he's, well, overpowered. Now he's able to one-shot everything, in which that's just, you know, something completely unspeakable, you could say. With that said, though, Izuku asks if he got into UA, and Nezu says that the full confirmations aren't out quite yet, but I mean, he could guess that he's definitely gotten into UA, in which Izuku gets excited and even tells his mother about this, in which, I mean, they have to go celebrate, and that's exactly what they do. They celebrate, they're happy, and frankly, it's just a good time overall. I mean, at the end of the day, how would it not be? I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, extremely fantastic. The celebrations would begin, and it would just be amazing. I mean, they're excited that Izuku got into UA, and they're excited to have Izuku get the chance to show off what he's truly made of, what he's capable of. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to show everybody that he's capable, and that he might be or he might have no quirk, quote unquote, but he'll do stuff that nobody even could imagine. He'll do amazing things, insane things. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Izuku is going to do absolutely insane things. And that's what he'll show right when he arrives at UA. The first day of UA is simple. I mean, he gets there and it's pretty basic. Everybody knows who he is, actually. It's kind of ironic because everyone's like, whoa, like, we know who you are. Like, you're that kid that destroyed all those robots. They even talked about how he destroyed a 0-point robot, this giant robot that they were like, oh, you know what, let's send out. And it was as if it didn't even exist. They didn't even know it came out. And Izuku says that it was just a robot that he saw. It took one step, he obliterated it into nothingness, and nobody else even got the chance to look at it. Izuku shrugs it off as if it's a normal day in the office, but everyone else is kind of captivated by this. I mean, Izuku's insane. He really thinks this is like normal? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Why would he think this is normal? This is not normal. In which Izuku doesn't really think too much about it, at least at the moment. But hey, maybe it's not. But still, he was able to show everybody what he's really capable of, and it seems like everybody in this school so far is respecting him a good amount, which is pretty awesome. I mean, he wanted to be respected. He wanted to be not just known as someone that's, well, you know, didn't have a quirk and he was useless, so he didn't like the idea of that specifically. So he's happy that everybody seemingly is respecting him. It's a cool thing. He doesn't think too much about it at the end of the day, but he does appreciate it. He eventually would arrive in Class 1A, and when he would be in class 1A, he would just sit there and wait for the teacher to finally arrive. Everybody would begin asking him questions, and this would definitely be something different, something very different from what Izuku is used to. I mean, this is kind of crazy. Normally it's Bakugo being the one that's like fawned over and being obsessed with, but now it's him. Now it's everybody talking to him and saying that he's awesome and that he could do this or that and that he's doing amazing things, and Izuku's happy that everybody is, saying good things about him. But I mean, at the end of the day, he didn't really care for this in his totality. All he wanted to do was be respected. I mean, that's about it. He didn't want to be, Bakugo. He didn't want everybody to fawn over him and be like, oh my god, he's so amazing. How Bakugo, let's be honest, wants to. But still, he's not too against the idea. I mean, he's okay with it, he guesses, and feels that as long as it doesn't get super annoying, it should be fine. In which, knowing Izuku, it probably will eventually get annoying for him, but that's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, it's better to be fawned over than bullied into the ground, I guess. In which Izuku definitely believes this, because, I mean, why would he want to be, flat out bullied instead of fawned over? That, it's kind of a weird, process of his own mind. But, at the end of the day, Izuku awaits the arrival of the Class 1A teacher, being that of Aizawa. Aizawa would finally enter and begin speaking with everybody, talking about exactly what they're going to be doing, in which he brings up the fact that they're going to be doing a bit of a Quirk assessment. He would then look at Izuku and says that, strength assessment for him. Everybody would be confused, but then a realization would come over and the rumors would be true. They would realize that this guy is, Quirkless. That's insane. There's no way he's actually Quirkless, right? Like, how does it make sense for him to be Quirkless? How is that even possible? Everybody is just completely taken back by this, but it's true. He is Quirkless, and that's just the facts, and that's just the fact of the matter. But then Aizawa would tell them all to shut their mouths and meet him outside. They have a test to do and a Quirk assessment to finish. And the first person up is Izuku himself. Aizawa says since the number one student in UA is Izuku, he'll be starting them off. He gives them a baseball to throw, and he tells Izuku to throw the baseball as far as possible. Izuku nods and just gets ready. He lines it up and just chucks it. And when he throws it, it's almost in an instant, it says infinity. And Aizawa smirks, and he already understands. He understands that Izuku is just far above than what these other kids can do. I mean, in pure strength alone, at least. Bare minimum. But what else can he do? He just wants to find out. He hears everybody talking about how fun this is going to be and how cool it is that Izuku did that. And he tells them all that whoever gets last place is getting expelled. That he doesn't care about this fun and game stuff. That whoever gets last place will be gone. He doesn't care. He wants to make heroes, not help kids have fun. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about any of that. He tells them once again that they better listen up and listen good, because if they don't, let's just say they're going to all be expelled, and he's not playing around. So he tests all of them. Izuku is able to show off exactly what he's capable of, and frankly, he just passes everybody and gets number one in everything, but that's not surprising. By the end of all of it, everyone is concerned. I mean, who's going to get last place? They're going to feel so bad. What's going to happen? And eventually the last place person is revealed. The last place person to actually be in the exam is Hagakure, Invisible Girl. Invisible Girl isn't too good at really anything, so she's unfortunately in a position where she doesn't want to be. She can't pass. So that means she doesn't pass. But guess what? Aizawa was actually lying, or at least to a certain extent. He tells them that it was all really just a logical ruse, and the whole point was so that they would try their absolute hardest. And plus, He's trying to more or less gain information that he doesn't already have of the students that are currently in front of him and of these so-called future pro heroes. But with that said, well, Izuku listens on as Aizawa tells them all that he no longer cares what they do and they could all just leave. Izuku's confused, but he just takes this as a way of maybe just going to their nice classes or heading home. So that's exactly what the class does. The first day of UA is officially over. Question marks definitely surround everyone and everything, including Izuku, and Izuku's curious to what they have in store for him next, and Aizawa is wondering the same thing. What kind of power does Izuku even have? What kind of just strength and just insane things does Izuku have in store? What kind of power does Izuku truly have? Well, that's exactly what everybody and including Aizawa and Izuku want to find out. What exactly is Izuku Midoriya, or soon to be known as One Punch Man, truly made of? And that's what we'll find out in the next parts of What If Deku Was One Punch Man. And if you enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, and leave a comment down below any suggestions. And I hope all of y'all have an amazing day. Later.